Oh, okay, I see.
They put him out to pasture.
Yeah, right.
So you two knew each other?
No, ma'am.
No, you didn't.
Here in the parking lot.
Oh.
They just met out there in the parking lot. I told him I was looking for a couple of girls, and he said he was too.
Oh, well, we...
Jim, what was your unit during World War II?
I was in the Navy. We didn't have any particular units.
What ships did you serve
I,
on?
I went over to Guam, and I was supposed to go out by ship there, but I got appendicitis while I was there and had my appendix out.
My uncle served in Guam, too.
Did he?
Earl Isaacson, I don't know what I mean. And he was in the Navy, too. I mean, the chances are, but you never know.
I was at Navy 926, NOB Navy 926 on Guam. It's after Harbor.
After the...
APRA, A-P-R-A, I believe. I'm not sure how it's spelled. Harbor.
Oh, okay.
It's where all the...
Oh, okay.
I was a shipbuilder.
And what, I don't know what is that? What is
Pardon me?
that?
What is the ship?
Shipbuilder, he repairs everything.
Oh, okay.
Tries to. Put it that way.
And midnight requisitions.
And when did you serve?
1945, 46. He served before I did.
Tell us about yourself, Bill. Or William, which do you want to be
I'm
called?
just called Bill.
Okay.
People call me William. I think they must be my creditors.
My husband's named William, too, and he says, just plain Bill.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I used. That's what I used to write, which was my girlfriend then, and then my wife. I met her before the war, and I just always signed it just your Bill, you know.
Yeah. What outfit were you in?
Well, you mean, when do you want to know? You want to go from the beginning, or you want to know World War II? Which do you want?
Oh?
We don't know. You tell
Okay,
us.
all right. Well, I'll tell you my background. See, I was the sole support of my mother and my sister, who was 10 days old when my father died. This is before World War II. And jobs were scarce. Now we're talking 1937. So I was doing odd things, but it wasn't enough to take care of my mother and my sister. So I heard there were jobs available up in the Tri-Cities, Moline, Rock Island, Davenport. So I came up here and I got me a job, making the grand total of $8 a half a week, plus my board and room. So I took it, because that $8 and a half was a lot more than I had, and I sent it home to Mother. And in those days you could get by, because we did own the house down that they were living in. So then I was reading.
No, this was in Rock Island.
I was living in Moline at that time. I'd been reading about the Air Corps until I went over to talk to the Army Air Corps. This is in 37. I gave you the wrong dates. It's 30. I'm getting confused in my old age. When you get 87 years old, I think you're entitled to forget a few things. But anyhow, I went over to the Army Air Corps recruiter. And because in those days, you would make, besides your board and room, you could make $50 a month as a private first class, you know what I mean? Well, I told the man that the recruiter, I'd like to learn to fly. And the first question he asked me, he said, do you have a college education? I said, no. I have a high school diploma, but I have no college education. He said, well, you know, you should have a college education to fly, but we do have a program. It's called the Flying Sergeant Program. Now, let me explain it to you, to see if you're interested. You enlist in the Air Corps, and if you can pass the physical and the intelligence tests, we send you to flying school. Now, you learn to fly with the guys that have got the college education. And if you successfully pass basic, primary, and secondary, and then transition, and then advanced, you get to become a staff sergeant. And the men that are your classmates that have a college are commissioned as second lieutenant. So, hell, I wasn't worried about my intelligence or my ability to fly, so, okay, let's go, sign up, and off I go. So I could send more money home, see? And I went through flying school, and 2 weeks before graduation in graduated in 38, January. Well, the government cut the appropriations for the military. You know, we cut back the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Air Corps. So they called us all in. They said, now we got some good news. Now you guys, because now we were down from originally, was it 40? We were down to 20 some odd guys left. The rest of them got washed out. I mean, if you got your shoes dusty, marching in damn dust in Texas, and the sergeant was mad for some reason or other, he might put you up on demerits, and then too many demerits. But anyhow, so they called us all in. They said, well, now we've got some good news and we got some bad news. You guys are all going to get your wings because you passed all the tests. But you're not going on active duty. Oh, God, my heart went down. Because the government had got the appropriation now, but what you've got to do, since the government invested all this money in you, you're being automatically transferred to the Air Corps Reserves, which means that you are going to have to come back every summer for 2 weeks for 6 years to fly for 2 weeks. Well, my question was, well, what I get paid? They're going to get paid what your rank calls for during that period of time. So I was really upset because now I had to find another job.
Did you know at this time that we were probably going to go into war, or there was any rumblings at all about that?
No, there was no rumblings because, remember, 39 is when
When he actually...
when Hitler invaded. Well, there was rumblings that there could be some problems, but we, of course, weren't alerted to it, and there wasn't too much in the paper. So anyhow, I go to summer camp on 39, go down as a staff sergeant, come out as a staff sergeant. 38, I went down as a staff. 39, I got to be a tech. And then 41, yeah, it was 41, I made master. And these days get confusing, but anyhow, the Saturday before Pearl Harbor Sunday, my girlfriend, her brother was injured in a bad car accident in Galesburg, Illinois. So I'm down to Galesburg, her and her folks, because her folks were Angus breeders. Brown Brothers in Alito, they had 2 Grand International champions out of their herd up there.
Really?
Brown Brothers in Alito? I have friends in Alito.
Well, you know the apple orchard people.
Right.
Huh?
Where's?
Yeah.
They were very close friends. Mr. Weir Sr., I knew him, and I knew Mrs. Weir. Of course, she's gone now. But I knew them very well.
My parents, when they got married, their first house that they lived in was on the Weir's fruit farm.
Well,
They had worked for them.
So I was at my future in-laws. I never got in-laws. I just got another mom and dad when I got married. But anyhow, we was at the hospital and we were listening to the radio about the Japs bombing Pearl Harbor. And I said to Lena, I said, I'll probably get called. But then my phone rang. The phone on the room rang. My mother was on the phone. And she said, a telegram came just a little while ago that you're to be out of Marchfield, California, Wednesday.
Okay, now I want to get this straight. What day did you get that call?
My
Was
mo-
that the day that Pearl Harbor got hit?
Yeah.
And they got stuff going that fast?
Well, they had the reserves. They could call up.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, they didn't have speedy telecommunications like we have now.
No, there was telegram.
Right.
March or Marshfield?
March.
Like March 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah.
Okay, California.
Yeah.
And you had to
I
be
think
there on a
I
Wednesday.
think that's
Yeah.
amazing, just that there would be
Okay.
that quick a response. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but no, the reason it was is because you see, we were always on ready reserve, and don't forget
Right.
I'd been flying
Right.
and all of them. So anyhow, I said, okay. She said, I'll tell you what, I'll put the stuff on the bus. So airmail and that kind of stuff wasn't in existence.
Right.
Or the train.
Right.
And get it shipped out to Marchfield. So then I went down to Scottsfield outside of St. Louis to get a ride to fly to California. And they had a ship that was going out, so there was no problem there. So I get out to Marchfield and go to report in, and I walk in this building. There's a sign that says enlisted men this way and officer men this way. So I'm an enlisted man, so don't forget I got no uniforms, I got no nothing. I hadn't even got orders. I haven't seen my orders. I go down and listen. And the sergeant sitting there, I said to him, Master Sergeant Combin, 1605-1098, reporting for duty. He's going down the list. He says, I can't find any. Where's your telegram? I said, my mother forgot to send it to me. He said, excuse me just a minute, Sergeant. He runs over here where it says officers. He comes back with this guy, and they both salute, and I said, sorry, Captain Combin, 05711316.
Captain from Sergeant.
Jesus. So anyhow, that's the way we started out. And then,
Can I interject a question?
sure,
Was it, I'm just trying to get a picture, was it just chaos in this building? I mean, I'm just trying to picture,
well,
here we
I wouldn't call it chaotic. It was, people were lined up and busy and running, you know what I mean. It was, if you could say it was organized chaos.
Mm-hmm. Lots and lots of people in.
Oh, lots of people coming in. Oh, yeah. In fact, guys his age, I'll have to tell you a story about that in a minute. But anyhow.
He doesn't know how old I am.
Well, not, I can get pretty close, but anyhow. So, we get our plane, and off we go to Europe.
The next day?
3 days.
3 days. So
Where did you go to?
Europe. We go to England.
you flew over there, just flew, and you hadn't flown for how long, and then you're in a plane, and away you go.
No, I had flown in the summertime. I was all checked out on the 17th.
Yeah.
I was,
Oh, okay.
So you were on the B-17s?
yeah.
B-17, yeah.
And
that is-
then we went from, I'll never forget, you've heard of the town of Grand Island, Nebraska?
Right, sure.
Yes.
Okay. There was three 17s that took off from March at the same time to go east. I, because of being the senior pilot in the group, I was the lead on, and the other two guys were flying my wing. And we were coming in, we'd gone over Cheyenne, yeah. And one of the guys in the other plane said, hey, let's veer off course. We were supposed to go down through Kansas City and then across. He said, let's go off course. He said, I'm from Beatrice, Wyoming. And he said, I'd like to go because I told my folks if I'd ever fly over Beatrice, I'd swing by.
Don't you love it?
Beatrice, Wyoming, or Nebraska?
Huh?
Beatrice, Wyoming, or Nebraska?
Beatrice, Nebraska.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Beatrice.
sorry.
Beatrice. My son-in-law corrects me all the time. It's Beatrice, right?
And so so he says, let me take the lead. So I drop back onto the wing, and he takes the lead. And we're going along, and he's jabbing along, and here he says, gee, there it comes. I'll never forget, it's a white church in the middle of that town. It's got a tall spire. In those days, I don't know if it's still in is it still in
I don't know. It's a bigger place now.
But
Got a
anyhow,
really fancy library. I know
so
that.
he said, get in the tail end, Charlie. So away we go. We line up. He goes over the church. It was about, I imagine, 9:30, somewhere in the morning there. He peels off and dive bombs the church. So we're playing follow the leader.
Oh, no.
Number 2 man peels off and dive bombs the church.
Did they
And
think
I dive bomb the church, and we go up and circle twice and then head for Amnoster, Missouri.
did they think it was the Japanese?
They didn't know, but anyhow, you never saw a church evacuate like that. But it sure did, and we were going along, and
So this was a Sunday.
this was a Sunday morning.
How can you imagine inside? They probably thought they
And
Oh,
A lot of
yeah.
praying going on.
we were flying along, and Kansas City came on and told us to land immediately.
Oh.
So we weren't about to land at Kansas City. We were en route to Amnoster, Missouri.
You're kidding.
We went on to Knob. But anyhow, we called for Amnoster for landing permission. We circled. We're coming in on our final approach, and I noticed all these damn Jeeps lined up along the
Oh,
road.
no.
We touched down, and the Jeeps get in the parade and follow us in, and the guys are standing up in the back and this way, this way. And I thought we were all going to jail. Did we ever get chewed out? I thought my career was over. I really did. And the funny thing then, the priest of the Episcopal priest here in town, Father Patrick General, has served at Amnoster. I mean, he's on active duty, but he's now retiring next year. But when I found out about Amnoster, I've always remembered that Sunday. But anyhow,
I grew up around Sedalia.
oh yeah, I know.
Just down the road.
I know where Sedalia is.
Yeah. When
In
you
fact,
said
I
I'm
own
not.
property at Sullivan, Missouri. But anyhow, and
Now, wait, how old were you when you took off in this plane?
when I was flying then,
Yeah.
when
When
you-
you
when
dive
you-
bombed the church, how old were you?
oh, I wasn't 21 yet. I wasn't 21 until November.
Can you just see the testosterone going? Here we go. I've got 3 planes. I can just see it.
Oh no,
Oh.
no! I'll tell you. No, I was born in 1920.
Yeah. Okay. I just was wondering how old you were when you were doing that.
Oh no! And then off we go to England, and we fly from Scottsfield to Presque Isle, Maine, to fuel up. Because, see, they hadn't even gotten the Bombay tanks in those planes yet. Then we had to stop in Iceland to refuel again in Reykjavik, and then on to England, to the southern part of
Had you
England.
ever flown that length, that much distance?
Oh yeah, but I'd never flown them that much distance together over water.
Right.
Hawaii, you flew, you know what I mean? But I never.
And what was the crew?
The crew? You mean how
How
many?
many?
Okay, I had a co-pilot, a nose gunner, Radio man waist gunner, another waist gunner, bombardier, of course, I told you.
I don't know what a waist gunner is.
That's in the waist of the plane. The bubbles on the side of the plane, you call them a waist gunner.
Oh, okay. They had guns that went out there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and then your tail gunner.
But the radio man was also a waist gunner
Radio man was a radio man and a
and a waist gunner too. But you had another waist gunner too.
well, you had two waist gunners.
Yeah, okay. I just want to get it right.
Yeah, your waist gunner was the upper the upper turret was your radio man gunner.
Okay.
So your waist gunners or waist gunners. Your radio man had a combo job.
Okay. Plane.
Oh yeah, but anyhow, no, we were flying over Europe in just a few days after we got there. Now, tell you something else. The American Red Cross, they don't get a dime of my money.
You're like my dad.
Oh,
You don't get mine either.
Really?
oh no, I tell you, they were nothing but the biggest scam going in the world. We used to come back from, you see, we bombed over Europe, we bombed in the daylight. See, the English said you couldn't, the losses would be horrendous, flying bomber formations over Europe in the daylight. And they bombed to the Lancasters at night. So we'd bomb in the daylight, and I don't give a doggone what hour of the day we got back, or if it was even dark, raining and snowing. We touch those planes down, taxi them in, park them, head for the debrief shack. And outside the debrief shack is the Salvation Army. Hey, Yank, coffee, donuts. They would never take the money, and I wouldn't care what the weather was. So I get hurt, and I'm hospitalized in England, and I'm brought back. I'm brought to Fletcher General Hospital in Cambridge, Ohio. I happen to be an officer, so I'm in an officer ward with other officers, you know. And so, because I was ambulatory at that time, see, there was no requirement for a private room. I mean, the military isn't. They spend money, but they don't waste it, particularly during that time. So, but they had a diet kitchen there on each of the officers' ward had its own diet kitchen. It was always stocked with cold meats and fruit and things and so on, you know, edibles. And I got off the story about the Red Cross. Let me jump back to the Red Cross a minute. Well, anyhow, we were listening to the radio and the hit parade. I got so many stories. My kids have heard them, my grandkids have heard them. But anyhow, I talk about the fun things. I don't like to talk about her. But they come on the hit parade and they say, we have just, I forget how many thousand cigarettes to the boys. They always call them the boys, you know, at Fletcher General Hospital. So we guys are down on the board here. We're going to wander up to the Red Cross and get some free cigarettes. So we truck our way up there. I put my hand in and get about 18 cigarettes. I don't remember. I didn't count them. Neither did the other guys. Started to walk away, and the Red Cross lady in her uniform says, that'll be 10 cents, please. For what? For the cigarettes. I said, you got them for free. 10 cents or else put the cigarettes back. We threw them back. Then a few days later, we're all sitting in the diet kitchen talking. And here comes another crew with another Red Cross lady and several more civilians down to talk to the boys. So they walk down the ward. And the Red Cross lady stops and she talks to the guy that happened to be in the first quartermaster in Iran and got wounded in the groin area. And does it hurt me? How'd you get hurt, Major? Does it hurt, Major? You know, what in the hell business is there with anybody there? They'd go down, they'd ask the guys, you know. They'd talk to them and quiz them on how they got hurt. Now, who in the hell's business is that? Not the Red Cross. That's our doctors. And the sergeant, they just irritate the hell out of me. And I won't give them a dime. Now, the Salvation Army, different deal.
You feel the same way about the Salvation Army?
Yeah, they're okay.
You nodded your head when he said you wouldn't give a dime to the Red Cross. What's your story?
Anything to the Red Cross.
What's your story?
You know, I never had anything like that because I wasn't I was in the hospital on Guam, but I never had anything to do with the Red Cross. I just didn't care for it. I was in service. I don't remember everything that took place.
Yeah, and then when Lena's brother was killed in that mid-air bomber collision, they wanted to charge me to send a damn telegram to verify it for me.
Interesting.
Well,
Oh no, so that's when I went and saw the chaplain.
Interesting.
when did you go through North Platte?
Which, you mean, when did I go through North Platte? Okay, that was in let's see, it was in the December or January, which is right not too long after I reported for duty, but we'll say January to be on the safe side.
1941?
42.
1942, yeah.
Then I was again back in North Platte a couple of years ago. First time I'd been back, because I was visiting my daughter and her husband, my grandchildren. They lived in Kearney. And I stopped to show my wife the train station. And I met an older woman there. And I wanted to know if she had served in the canteen. She said yes, as a little girl. And I was telling her I'll never forget North Platte. I mean, because we came through. See, we were taking crews by east. I'd come back, and they gave me some R&R. They occasionally, see, after 50 missions, you were automatically sent home. Normally, if things were okay, for some R&R for a couple of weeks. And then you had to do, the R&R was doing something for the air.
Where did you live at in this country?
Where did I live at?
Yeah.
I was living in Missouri.
Missouri?
Sullivan, Missouri. That's where my mother was living. I was actually living before the war in Moline. See, my wife comes from Aledo. My wife came from Aledo. Yeah. And
had you in the book that we have, it talks about that, you know, some of the servicemen didn't know that they would be told by other servicemen that they were coming to this place.
Oh yeah.
Did you know ahead of time before you got to the depot that this was going to happen, or was that a surprise?
That was definitely a surprise. It was a very pleasant surprise. You see, in North Platte, see, they were Union Pacific was running those trains, those troop trains, had twin engine. You know, they had two locomotives pulling because they just come up over through the mountains, and they changed trains and all the crews there. And of course, there was time element depending on many factors, whether it was 15 minutes or an hour, and the people on the train, the conductors, you know, and people inside the train coaches were told to spot North Platte. And I'll never forget them. Our guys, the crews that I was command of moving, I'll never forget it. We got off the train and we went in, and God, those people, I mean, they couldn't do enough, you know. Hey, cake, pie, cookies, you name it, they had it all.
That's right. It was something else.
And fruit. And I was talking to one of those ladies. And they were paying for all that stuff out of their own pocket.
That's right.
Not one tax dollar was used.
And that's right, no. And so all of our guys got together. The whole group, we were dropping money. I mean, I had been real flush. I don't know where I got an extra $10 from, but I had it, and I put it in there. And I don't know how much those crews of mine put in, but they put in quite a bit, you know. But those women and people, they gave up. They used their own ration coupons for the sugar, the flour, the fats. Everything was rationed, and those people deserve more accolades than they probably are getting, you know, or probably got plenty much more. And of course, they didn't expect anything in return.
They never thought about it, anything in return.
No, they did not.
No.
And regardless of the day or night, I was told by one of the train crews, a troop train came through and had to stop, you know, because they were changing crews. I don't care what time of day or night, there were people there.
It's It's really phenomenal.
It is.
You'd almost say that it was untrue, except that you have
You
so
know
many.
it is.
You know,
Yeah.
they said they served over 6 million servicemen.
I don't doubt
I mean,
that.
that's
I don't
I'm
doubt
proud
that.
to be one of them.
yeah. Well, when you walked in, what would just describe your?
Oh, just a lot of ladies there,
And there were men there too.
Was there
Yeah.
like a long? What the pictures we've seen? There's like a long table with
Yeah.
food on it. Is that
That's
the
right.
way it was?
That's right. You walked in the main entrance there.
and it was so surprising they didn't, you know, you could not pay for it.
Oh no!
Absolutely could not pay
If
for it.
you started at that table and started reaching in your pocket, put them some money. They give you the dirtiest looks, and you know, you just committed a crime.
And there were all ages of women. Then was it?
Oh, there was little kids.
All
If
ages.
it was, of course, daylight hours or normal day hours, be little kids there helping their mothers and their fathers, and all ages, teenagers.
Well,
young adults.
one thing we read, when Virginia went out and talked to them, was the servicemen loved the hard-boiled eggs and the milk because they got powdered
Oh yeah.
milk and eggs, and
Yeah.
so apparently that was a big
Yeah.
draw.
Oh, I was lucky one time there. They had some deviled eggs.
Well, and another thing they said,
They
you
weren't
know,
green either, were they?
No, they were not.
All the eggs overseas were green.
is that right?
Oh,
gross.
God.
I mean, the greenish cast to them.
Uh-huh.
They were pretty hard to eat.
Yeah.
But one of the things that amazed me is they said that, you know, back then you couldn't just go to the grocery store and get mayonnaise or anything. I mean, they had to make the mayonnaise, they had to make the bread, they had to, you know, it wasn't the pickles,
Oh yeah.
it was a
It was a-
different world, you know.
Yeah, they were doing for us what we were doing for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was their philosophy.
Yeah, that's true.
They
I was just a kid then. I was 18 years old. I turned 18 after I enlisted.
they sacrificed a lot, and some of them were quite elderly that were there, and I mean but they were there because they wanted to show their appreciation.
That's right.
Well, in the book it says that, you know, there were, like you were just barely 18, that a lot of the men had never been away from home before.
Oh, no.
Never, you know, and here they are in this home-like environment again, you know, and it just really had a tremendous impact.
Well,
on
you
them.
saw some guys that were getting a little teary-eyed with some of these older women who were talking to them, you know, and
Mhm.
reminding them of their mothers or grandmothers or their sisters or something. Well,
Did you jitterbug?
huh?
Did you jitterbug with somebody?
No, I didn't do any dancing.
Well, they said they had a piano in there, and sometimes they.
Oh yeah, I don't remember anybody playing the piano when we were there, but they
It's been a long time ago.
were really wonderful
Reach
people.
back to bring that forward.
Yeah, you have to. But it takes all kinds, you know, to
Well, I was there in 1945.
yeah.
quite a while after he was.
Well, tell us about your experience in the military.
Well, I just, I enlisted. I dropped out of school, high school, and enlisted in the Navy,
When was that?
1945. Roosevelt was still president. He was still alive.
Yep.
And enlisted, and I never got called up until right away because of his death. And then I went to boot camp in the Navy over at Great Lakes here in Chicago. And the war was actually, they dropped the bombs just as I got out of boot camp. So I wasn't overseas at that point in time. But I'm thankful that they did all this because I probably wouldn't be sitting here today had they not, because we were getting ready for the invasion of Japan.
Yeah. That was my brother was in the tanks. He was in the Philippines. He fought in the Battle of the Philippines, you know. And they were on ships ready to go to Japan. And when VJ Day hit, or VJ Day, I'm sorry. And of course the ships never left the port to go to Japan, which was lucky for him. But no.
So you after boot camp, then where did you go?
I went to, that's when I went to South Pacific.
Oh,
through
okay.
Long Island. Not Long Island.
Long Beach?
Pardon me?
Long Beach?
No.
San Diego?
No.
North Platte?
What town are you talking about?
North Platte.
North Platte.
Yeah.
That's when I went through North Platte. Well, I went back, I had a 9-day leave. And I went back to OGU, outgoing unit, there at the Naval Training Center. And another fellow and I got an 8-hour liberty, and we went into Milwaukee. We met a couple of girls, had dinner with them, and we made dates with them for Saturday night. Okay, then we couldn't, it was every other day that we had an 8-hour liberty. So then our next day 8-hour liberty, we went into Chicago, met a couple of girls, had some refreshments with them. Everything was on the up and up. And we made dates with them for the same night. Well, come that Saturday night, I was on my way to South Pacific. I never got to see either one of them. But we left Chicago then on the troop train, and we went to Kansas City, and that's where we picked up the Union Pacific. And we went up to North Platte. But I remember, one thing I specifically remember was when we were leaving, they had changed engines or whatever they had to do. And they blew the whistle, and that meant you better get out of that canteen and get on the train. So we ran, and they were moving, and we ran out. And there's this one of those short guy. He just ran as fast as he could, and the engineer was just playing with him. he just kept the train just a little bit ahead of him. We were in the last coach. I wasn't. I just kept the train a little bit ahead of him. Finally slowed down. I catch up with him.
Well, somebody was saying, I don't know, you told me, I don't know who it was from, that they had this fellow who had beer in his car trunk, and he would sell beer to the. Was that you that told me that?
Yeah, there's a man down in Nauvoo who said that it was either his grandfather or he knows. The man is originally from North Platte, and this man had a pickup truck, and he'd always stock the back end of his pickup truck with beer. And as the soldiers go off, he would tell them about it, and then they'd just donate some money, and he always came out ahead.
Did you ever hear about that story?
No, I've never drank a beer in my life. So.
Oh, okay.
Well, I didn't know. I just heard.
I'm not too
guy's
good.
story.
I used to bottle the picnics for a distributor here in town and deliver beer when I was 16 years old in the summertime. And they used to set draw a glass of beer and set it up for me, and I'd say no thanks. They got to where they set up a bottle of pop for me.
Oh.
But I just couldn't get it past my nose.
So you lived in Burlington?
I lived in West Burlington.
West Burlington, okay.
Well, what was the atmosphere like with the servicemen in the train when was there just quiet or trying to get your mind off things, or what?
We just talked about everything under the sun.
Yeah.
And in the car that I was in, there was a police officer from over in Ohio somewhere, and all these guys were from over east. But they'd been drafted. And headed to South Pacific along with me. I don't know where I suspicion they probably went to boot camp. I don't remember. There's so many things to talk about. You don't remember everything.
Right.
But I think they probably went to Great Lakes also. But they had all kinds of professions. Now these people, most of them were drafted because they were quite a bit older than me. But I didn't want into the Army, and I didn't want to get drafted in the Army. So I enlisted ahead of time.
Because you knew when you hit 18 you were going to get drafted.
Probably, yeah. And I would have.
You see, you could tell from a man's serial number, too, Army serial numbers, whether he was enlisted, or National Guard, or drafted.
Was that right?
Yeah. The number 1, in case of my enlisted serial number, indicates I enlisted from the 6th Corps area.
I wonder how the Navy had something like that. I didn't.
They used to, but they don't anymore. Number 2 indicated that you were a member of the National Guard, and then the second digit indicated your Corps area that they came from. And number 3 indicated that you were a draftee. You could look at a man's serial number, and know whether he was enlisted, guard, or drafted. Now I don't know. Now my son was the engineer on the submarine Los Angeles. In fact, he's a flank over. He was assigned to the Los Angeles when it was under construction in Newport. He's a nuclear engineer out west now at the Hanford Reservation. But of course, he served in peacetime. Of course, they called it peacetime, but they were chasing the Russians all over submarines and submarines, you know.
Right.
But anyhow, no, well, I'll tell you this about my military. I wouldn't take $1 million for it, and I've said that before, and I'll say it until I die. But I wouldn't want $1 million. I wouldn't go through it for another $1 million.
I feel the same way. I've always said that.
It just... Now, you get a camaraderie. Like in your outfit, you had some guys that you were really close to. They were like brothers. Same way with my squadron, and particularly my crew. See, I named my plane Lovely Lena, my wife's name. And sometimes if some guys new come in, or we'd go flying out with another squadron, they'd call over and they'd say, "Who in the hell is Lovely Lena?" And I'd come on and I'd say, "This is Colonel," if I was a colonel at that time, "this is Colonel Cobbin, and that's my girlfriend." And then the radio would go silent.
Well, I never got past Seaman First Class, but I took the test for shipfitter third, and when I was on Guam, and they called me up one day and said, "We're going to give you the shipfitter third, but you got to sign over for 4 more years." And I told them what they could do with it.
Yeah.
Well,
I won't tell you what I told them.
but I'll tell you,
I can understand that.
I tried to have my squadron a cohesive body, enlisted men and officers. And I tried to meet with the entire squadron at least every 2 weeks, and sometimes you couldn't do it.
See, now I'm ignorant as far as a squadron is.
A squadron is a group.
How many? Is it a certain number?
9 planes.
9 planes. Okay.
And sometimes it went to 18. Sometimes it went to 20. But originally when it was designed, it was to be 9.
Okay.
3 flights of 3. But I used to tell my men, you know who the most important people are in this one? You get all kinds of answers. The navigator, or the radio man, or the bombardier. I say, no. It's the enlisted man. You realize, guys, we'd never be off the ground if it wasn't for that enlisted man mechanic, or the armorer, or the guy repairing the engines, the radio. We'd never get off. And I said, and I want you to know another thing. color of skin doesn't mean anything. God gave us all brains. Black, white, red, green, yellow, you name it. But if you don't use them, he's going to take it away from you. Now, just because a man has got a different color than you doesn't mean can't think and learn. I was proud of my squadron. I was proud of my men. And they always knew when the guys were from 727. I mean, they'd been around a while because I tried to instill in them that they're there to serve their country, to serve each other, and to take care of their country and take care of each other. Because I felt that, and I really believed in it.
Do you think if Pearl Harbor hadn't happened, I mean, I know it's just guessing, but do you think we would have just really held back and not gotten in?
No, I think that we would have been. I think we would have, because number one, we were working with Lend-Lease because Hitler had to be stopped.
That's right.
And it was only a matter of time, because it's similar to what's going on now. He was bringing in saboteurs and everything else off by submarine. We had explosions here in the United States that were set off by German saboteurs.
Really? I don't remember reading about that. Do you?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that went on you don't, and to be quite honest with you, President Roosevelt, I think, knew what was going to happen.
Oh, I think
Oh,
so.
well,
I've read that.
well,